I destroyed my best friend's wedding. Yeah, I said it. And here's the part that's going to make you hate me. I'm not even sorry. I'm 27. And for most of my life, I've been what people call the good friend. The dependable one. The one you call when you need a ride at 2 a.m. or when you need someone to hold your hair back after too many tequila shots. That's me. Or, that was me. My best friend. Let's call her Rachel. And I had been inseparable since high school. We knew each other's secrets. We finished each other's sentences. We basically grew up in each other's houses. If you'd asked anyone back then, they would have said nothing could ever come between us. But love, or what you think is love, has a way of changing everything. The first time I met Ethan, Rachel's fiancé, something inside me cracked. Not in a lightning bolt. He's the one kind of way. More like recognition, like my chest knew him before my brain did. And here's the awful truth. Ethan and I had history. Back in college, before Rachel ever met him, I had a thing with him. Not a relationship. More like a messy, half-formed, almost love that burned hot for a summer and then fizzled out when he ghosted me. I never told Rachel. She never asked. Why would she? So when she introduced him to me as the guy she was going to marry, I smiled. I hugged him. I said, "Congratulations." But inside I wanted to throw up. I told myself I could handle it, that it was ancient history, that she was happy, and that was all that mattered. But every time Ethan looked at me across a room, every time he laughed at one of my jokes a little too hard, I felt that old fire spark back to life. And I hated myself for it. Months passed. The wedding planning consumed Rachel's life, and I played the part of the perfect maid of honor. Dress fittings, cake tastings, late-night calls about flower arrangements. I was there for all of it. But with every passing day, I felt like I was suffocating. Because Ethan wasn't just her fiancé anymore. He was this constant presence in my life again. And he didn't make it easier. The way he lingered when we talked, the way he'd text me random things. This song reminded me of you. As if that wasn't crossing a line. I'd delete the texts. I'd tell myself, "You're imagining it. Don't ruin her happiness." But then one night, 3 weeks before the wedding, it happened. Rachel had gone to bed early after a long day of planning, and Ethan and I were left cleaning up wine glasses in her kitchen. The air was thick, heavy, and out of nowhere he said, "Do you ever think about that summer?" I froze. My hands shook so hard I nearly dropped a glass. I wanted to lie, to say no. But when I looked up at him, the answer was already on my face. That night, we kissed. Just a kiss. But it was enough. Enough to shatter everything I thought I knew about myself, about loyalty, about friendship. For 3 weeks, I carried that kiss like a ticking bomb in my chest. Every time Rachel talked about how excited she was to marry him, I wanted to scream. Every time I looked at her in her dress, glowing, smiling, I wanted to collapse from guilt, but also anger. Because how could he do that? How could he stand up there and promise her forever when I knew what happened in that kitchen? The day of the wedding, I stood beside her in the dressing room, adjusting her veil, telling her she looked perfect. And she did. God, she was beautiful. She was the happiest I'd ever seen her. And all I could think was, she doesn't know who she's marrying. When the priest asked if anyone had reason these two should not be wed, I swear to you I wasn't planning to say anything. But then Ethan looked at me, just for a second. But it was enough. Enough to confirm that he remembered, that he wasn't as innocent as he pretended to be. And before I could stop myself, I heard my own voice. "I do." The silence that followed felt like a lifetime. Dozens of eyes snapped to me. Rachel's smile faltered. Ethan's face drained of color. I don't even remember walking to the front. I just remember my voice shaking as I said, "I'm sorry, Rachel, but I can't let you marry him without knowing the truth. He kissed me 3 weeks ago, in your kitchen." Gasps, whispers. Rachel's bouquet hit the floor. And Ethan? He tried to spin it. Said I was drunk, that I misread the moment, that it was nothing. But I saw the doubt creep into Rachel's eyes. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just looked at me, really looked at me, and whispered, "Why?" And I didn't have an answer. The wedding ended right there. Guests shuffled out awkwardly, whispering behind their hands. Rachel locked herself in a back room and refused to see either of us. Ethan stormed off, cursing under his breath. And me? I sat outside the church for hours, staring at the pavement, wondering what I'd just done. Rachel and I haven't spoken since. It's been 8 months. I've sent her texts, emails, even letters. No response. Ethan moved out of town. Last I heard, he's dating someone new. And me? I'm stuck with the weight of knowing I detonated a bomb in the middle of the person I loved most in this world. Here's the part that's complicated. I don't regret it. I regret hurting Rachel. I regret the look on her face when she realized her best friend and her fiancé had betrayed her. That will haunt me forever. But I don't regret telling her the truth. Because if I had stayed silent, she would have married a man who didn't deserve her. And maybe I'm the villain in this story. Maybe I'm selfish, jealous, bitter. Maybe I wanted Ethan for myself and blew up their wedding out of spite. I've asked myself that 1,000 times. But deep down, I think I did what had to be done. If you've made it this far, I really want to know. What would you have done? Would you have kept the secret? Or would you have blown it up like I did? Sometimes, late at night, I replay that moment in the church. The silence, the gasps, Rachel's eyes boring into mine. And then I imagine an alternate version, where I kept my mouth shut, smiled through the vows, toasted them at the reception, and went home with this secret buried forever. But then I picture Rachel, years from now, finding out the truth some other way, finding out I knew and said nothing. And you know what? That version feels worse. So yeah, I destroyed my best friend's wedding, and I'm not even sorry.